So, we talked about there's two sides of this, and I think what's interesting is that my background, of course, I've been focused on digital transformation, and
Hmm.
people go, well, AI is all different. I just look at AI as just the next sort of iteration of digital transformation, what it all boils down to. And I've long held that that is driven by, from a technology perspective, two fundamental things: process, what we've been talking about, and data. And so the other big announcement is all on the sort of on the data side, and for some people, probably myself included in this, somewhat surprising. Others, I think, have been less surprised by it. And I know you wrote a fair amount about this already. But that is Salesforce's announcement of, or at least I guess it's a rumor, it's not an announcement. So reported by, I don't know if it was the Wall Street Journal or Reuters, somebody who broke this, but that they are in talks to acquire, currently very late stage talks to acquire Informatica. So what is your take and read on this?
Yeah, so we've talked about this before around Salesforce's earnings and finances, but right now, the past couple of years, Salesforce growth has really been driven by their data cloud, their acquisitions of Tableau for analytics, and then MuleSoft for application integration. Both are that area for them is growing about 20% a year or more, whereas the rest of their company is basically growing 10% or less. So obviously, you invest where you can grow. And since Salesforce knows how to sell data and they have this huge amount of master data and customer data associated with being the Salesforce platform, they are seeing that they have this opportunity to really own the data space. And I think that's what's really driving these rumors or late stage talks, or wherever we are in this acquisition phase, that we're not going to announce it, but definitely something's happening here. I actually think it makes a lot of sense because when you think about Salesforce in this day and age, you think about this core set of data that's being augmented by maybe hundreds of other data sources. It is a core part of your sales, marketing, and customer service if you have invested into Salesforce. But the ability to further integrate with other data, build that data catalog, go deeply into master data management and going more deeply into data quality and all these other areas where honestly Tableau and MuleSoft fall a little short because it's not their core focus. I think that's a real opportunity for Salesforce.
So, I saw some people kind of question online about, why are they doing this? Don't they already have MuleSoft? And I've never seen MuleSoft and
Mhm.
Informatica and really the same space. So, that part, but that's also the reason why I'm sitting here scratching my head now. In fairness and full disclosure, I scratched my head when they did the MuleSoft acquisition, and I've gone on record as saying I think I misread that one. So maybe I'm misreading this one too. But my first inclination when I was reading this, it's like, are they going to change the name from Salesforce because they keep getting further and further afield from kind of the roots of where they started? Really focusing on sales and marketing data. I can sort of make the case in my head that to the extent that their core focus has been on the enablement of the sales and marketing function, that you could, while there has been pieces around the edge, certainly Slack, arguably Tableau, that have use cases that go far beyond that, it was a worthwhile acquisition because they were also integral to that function. I look at Informatica, and I look at, there's so many other elements of the data spectrum that go so far beyond that. I mean, is Salesforce truly trying to become a what then? A data company? Is that
Yeah.
where they're going? And so then I question, it's like, well, if that's really the case, then going back to the conversation we just had, part of, I believe, Salesforce's success was always that they were very good at identifying their niche and executing well on the needs of those customers. And they're almost going with this acquisition, signaling that they're going the opposite direction, becoming this super super broad based company. And maybe that's, like I said, I may stand corrected on this, and looking at this going, this is the right call. I'm inclined to think that it may not be, at least if they continue down the approach that they're taking, which is they're becoming this sort of conglomeration of only slightly integrated and interrelated products. And that then says, well, you know, how is that really providing me benefit other than you now have leads onto one corporate roof to boost your earnings or whatever? But as a CIO, what's the buying advantage? And so I'm not, I don't know if I'll say I'm go as far as to say I'm bearish on this, but I'm sit here and at least middle of the road going, I'm not sure getting this.
So I'm not sure if this is good or bad for Salesforce, but I do feel like, just kind of from an evidence-based perspective, I feel like Salesforce is one of these companies where they've been aggregating data for 25 years. They've made a ton of acquisitions over that time to create the marketing cloud, the service cloud, all these other clouds, but never quite integrating it into the core Salesforce schema. So part of the reason they got MuleSoft is that they themselves had the need for application integration and knew that to make these things play together better, they needed some API and application integration capabilities as a starting point. And this is just going deeper into that, because now Informatica doesn't just do application integration, but they go deep into data integration and streaming and real-time data and all of the rest of the data that's involved. And I think Salesforce is kind of embracing this evolution and realizing at this point, we are 25 years of aggregating every type of data and probably, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 platforms together. And the best we can do is be an enterprise integrator to help support business going forward. Whether that's the right direction for them or not, if this Informatica acquisition goes through, that's what they're becoming, for better or for worse.
Yeah, where I say, I often will hold Salesforce up when I'm talking to other tech companies about how do you go to market. And one of the keys is that Salesforce has always had this super clear and compelling vision of the future. And I guess what I worry about with this is that this is a sort of another pebble rolling down the hill of this sort of slide away from that, where they're becoming a conglomerate. And in my opinion, it's I think it becomes hard to sustain that from a vision, because what I say all the time is that enterprise executives are buying visions, and there's something to be said for the stability of, I've got this whole collection of technologies all under one roof. But if they're just a collection of technologies, I'm not sure that I see the value. So we'll see. I mean, I think of the players that they could have acquired in the space, I think it's a good acquisition from that standpoint. But I'm still on the fence. So I guess we'll see where it plays out. But I know.